Hello, we are doing something very interesting today. If you're not aware, back in 2024, I used to do a bunch of Daybreak fan-made chapters. Granted, looking at them now, they were pretty OP, and I have since privated or deleted them from my channel just because of the person I collaborated with. So I thought now, since I play more Violence District than I do Daybreak, and even Dead by Daylight at times, I would do some fan-made killers for that game, because I think it's fun and I like experimenting with other universes. That's just a me thing. This one will feature two fan-made killers, the Participant and the Bloody Painter. I will be verbally reading over their perks and everything. All the perk icons and ability icons are drawn by me. And I hope you enjoy, and if you feel like there's anything else I could change, please comment below, or if you're interested in me doing more of these, let me know. Share this around. And last note, thank you Loki for, oh my god, I'm having a brain fry, I just woke up. Thank you Loki for being willing enough to read through all of these abilities and balance them slightly for me. I'm glad that I at least had a pretty decent idea and statistics before you proofread it, but the fact that you did made them even better, possibly, and I'm eternally grateful. So enjoy this, and thank you for your time. Let's go. The first fan-made killer we have is the Participant, which would be a collaboration between TRAVERSAL by Octik and Violence District. If you are unfamiliar with TRAVERSAL, it is this really well-made stealthy roguelike that takes place in these really grungy, just dilapidated environments. And the AI response in that game, not like generative AI, whoa, don't raise your flags, but more like just how like the NPCs around the game are coded makes it really difficult to play, and it is absolutely one of my favorite games on the platform. If you want to learn more about it, I will link a video to it down below that I've personally made on it, and I will link the game as well so you can go try it out. But for this game's purposes, we're only really using just the vibes and the general mechanics you see in that game translated into Violence District perks. The Participant. A prisoner who's been damned to hours of hell, the very air they breathe infested with mass bacteria. Days of torture eventually made him a monster himself. This killer comes with a passive called Durability. As you attack or counter with a primary or secondary weapon, your weapon will lose durability. The durability of a weapon will be indicated by uses. Primaries will always have 5 uses before they break and a large hitbox. Secondaries will always have 3 uses, but a quicker attack and a quicker recovery. So if you're familiar with Clown from IDV, and I mean like early Clown, he has these objects that are scattered around the map that you can pick up to adjust your rocket weapon at will. So the idea is that you always will start off with a primary weapon, but as you go along the trial, you can pick up a secondary or you can use a supplement, which is actually kind of funny. It's supposed to be a reference to how the NPCs can kind of just spawn with literally anything. They can spawn with a different kind of primary, a different kind of secondary, but for this game's purposes and to prevent lag, the primary would be a crowbar, which is something you can actually find in game. I feel like a really fun skin would be to add the katana that's in the funeral home, like lower floor funeral home. And maybe another one with the fire axe. But the Basekit primary is a crowbar. Basekit secondary is just a standard like knife, like a Bowie knife or something. And then the supplement is just a supplement. You pick it up, Resident Evil splash it all over your face or something, and then you move on with your life. For their active abilities, the first one is Engineer Mode. By pressing the active ability button on a generator with a secondary, the participant will go through a 0.5 second animation, can connect 2 generators together, and have their skill checks and generator related debuffs connected. This is done through selecting 2 highlighted gens and turning their blue color red. These generators then become linked. If a survivor on one link generator fails a skill check, both link gens will receive the penalty. This effect lasts for 80 seconds, and those link generators cannot become linked with each other again for another 80. Very important part right there. Engineer will go into a 70-second cooldown after linking 2 generators. You cannot link a generator that has been completed. This depletes the secondary by 1 use. So, I love using comparisons for certain things that actually make sense. You can't compare everything to each other. Comparisons are not always good. But with ASIMs, I feel like it's helpful to at least give you a ground idea of how this is. Imagine, I think the best way I can compare it, think of if The Masked and Boss had a baby. Like The Masked from Violence District and Boss from Daybreak had a baby. Now, imagine if their child was Luca from Identity V. Like first release Luca. Where he can connect 2 generators and they share progress, but you can adjust the amount of percentage that they share. Reverse that for a killer and have all the debuffs connect. So when he, and I'm using they and he interchangeably. When the participant connects 2 generators together, they don't share progress. However, if a survivor fails a skill check, if the killer has a certain effect, like a perk that impacts gens, it will affect both of those generators at once. So the idea is, I feel like, especially when you see these, the perks that these killers come in, it's actually gonna make gens, like, really, really insane, like, more than they already are. Like, you know how Abyssal Covenant is meta right now? Now have this dude's engineer mode on 2 generators with Pierce Reverie, which already affects like 2 generators for a short period of time, but usually it only impacts 1. Now have that on 2 of them. Now have Abyssal Covenant on 2 generators. This might seem a little overpowered when you think about it really deep, but I feel like if you have a really good team, and people run, they don't run group project as often now, but people run perfectionist planning and everything all the time. So I feel like this would be a pretty good extra hint of a counter to that. That's his base kit. And if it were to be too powerful, I feel like maybe, and this is kind of a hot take, maybe he should have Pierce Reverie unavailable to him, just like how Jeff has Combo Streak unavailable to him because it's become base kit for him now, as of the Cure update. But yeah, on to the second one. His second active ability is called Counter. By right-clicking with a primary in hand, you can counter any quick action stun. Excuse me. This includes pallet stuns, parry daggers, and riot shields. And in the future, if they add any more quick action stuns than those 2. Accumulative stuns do not count. This will then instead stun the survivor for 2.3 seconds while you are stunned for 1.2 seconds. Countering has a 40-second cooldown and depletes the primary by 2 uses. So, basically imagine if the killer had a parry dagger. Now for the last active ability, or just ability in general this guy has, is supplements. The participant can pick up a supplement on the ground and enter a 2-second animation to quote-unquote heal themselves. This increases animation recovery by 10% for 15 seconds. So the idea is, you're in chase. Oh look, there's a supplement on the ground, let me pick that up. Resident Evil splash it on myself. Now I can recover from pretty much any animation 10% faster for 15 seconds. Which specifically means stun recovery, attack recovery. I almost want to say vault recovery, but I feel like that would be too much. So for their purposes, stun recovery and attack recovery. Now on to the participants' perks. These are fun. They have a lot of references. The level 15 perk is called Checkpoint. For every survivor hooked, gain 1 token up to a max of 3, 3, 4. When a survivor is on a generator with at least 50% progress, consume your tokens to pause the generator's progress completely for 4 seconds. If multiple generators are at 50% or more with a survivor on them, pause the generator with the most progress. I know how the game uses false milestones to give me hope. They're nothing but a red herring. So in concept, the most time you can pause a generator for, in theory, at the highest perk rarity, is 16 seconds. Basic math, 4 times 4 is 16. And in order for the ability to work, a survivor has to be on the gen. It can't be with a survivor being off the gen, like I believe. Is it Pierce Reverie? I'm pretty sure it's Pierce Reverie does. Where if you hook someone or whatever, generators at 50%, then it'll start going down. I could be thinking of another one. I'm thinking off the top of my head. But just know that this works more to slow the game more than to just prevent gen rushing, period. It's more of like a pause, play my games, Jigsaw type of perk. Connection wise, this perk is supposed to reference the checkpoints you go through throughout the game, which are your only save points, and there's very few of them. My last playthrough took me 4 hours solo, so I hope that really speaks volumes about the difficulty of that game. The level 30 perk is called Soft Steps. After breaking a generator, go undetectable for 20 seconds. This perk then goes on cooldown for 30, 25, 15 seconds. Even the crunch of grass or thin branches is enough to alert your foes. Use it to your advantage. So, y'all are aware of, what is it called? Terror spread? Now imagine if that was on a generator. I know there's a DBD equivalent too. Let me look it up. Trail of Torment. Yep. It's supposed to be basically Trail for Torment. Trail for Torment. Oh my god. Trail of Torment, but on a timer rather than based off of highlighted auras. This one references just generally the stealth mechanics of the game. Like, I can't stress it enough, the difficulty of that game. All power to you if you try to do it solo like I did. The first time I played it, like 2 years ago, I did it as a duo with another person. But if you want you a good challenge, you like you a little roguelike, hop on some Traversal. See what you can do. The participant's final perk is called Golden Prize, which is their level 45 perk. When you are stunned, blow up the closest active generator. This perk then goes on cooldown for 25, 20, 15 seconds. Even through blood, sweat, and tears, you'll never know what lies in that leather suitcase. I will though. I always will. This is supposed to reference the end of the game, which I will not spoil for you. Please go play the game. I've glazed it enough already, as is. But in retrospect, this perk would probably work better when it's comboed with other vulnerability related or generator related perks. More or less vulnerability. Like, I can imagine you run this with, is it Eternal Torment? I'm pretty sure it's Eternal Torment. The Myers perk. This on his level 30 perk. But yeah, that is the participant. I hope you love them just as much as I do, and as much as I love Traversal. Before we do that, I want to just show the icons in full. I drew these somehow in one day. I don't know how I did them all in one day, but I did. So the first one, I will show the ability perks, the active ability perks. These are really fun. Had to look at a lot of references for these. If you don't know, I'm currently in university for communication arts, so I've done figure studies and stuff like that, granted at a lower division level. But trust and believe, I'm taking a figure class in the fall, so I'm excited. Oh my god, I love figure drawing. And for the next ones are just the perks. I don't know what happened to the third one when I exported it, so I'm sorry if like the lines on the top are going through the border. It looks so crazy, but I don't have the type of time to go back and fix it because I'm already this deep in editing. So just take it with how it is. The next FANMADE killer we have is the Bloody Painter, aka Helenotis, which is based off of the Bloody Painter creepypasta. I kind of found out quick that VD, when it comes to selecting killers and stuff, they like referencing like slasher killers that are either in Dead by Daylight already or should be in Dead by Daylight. Granted, it took them so long to get the rights to Jason. They only just now released the PTB for him like a week or two ago for the Jason Universe Jason. But I digress. And creepypastas and SCP evident by The Cure. and other references to games like The Abyss Walker and The Mask. So I thought, if they're going the creepypasta route and not like Roblox retro slot route, why not add more creepypastas? I think that would be really, really fun. So here comes the Bloody Painter. A meticulous killer painting his own guise of a refined gentleman. He copes with his overwhelming childhood through the blood and bile of his works, at least his in-home ones. His first ability is called sampling. When the Bloody Painter injures or downs a survivor, he will then save a sample of their blood. This sample is indicated by their portrait and a color. Every survivor's portrait corresponds to a separate color and a separate key: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, for 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 respectively. So, and this is great because I believe I have a killer gameplay in the background, so editing me, block this thing out. Thank you. Now unblur the background footage. Now I want you to have your attention on the things below, and editing me, I want you to put a different color square on those 3 survivors down there. The colors would go in no specific order. Or, well, actually they would. If there's 5 survivors, you will have red, orange, yellow, green, and blue, but I love color coding everything. I hate seeing stuff out of order, so I believe regardless of what's happening, there will always be a red, and most of the time will always be an orange and a yellow. If you have like 3 people in the lobby, when do you ever have a full Violence District lobby nowadays? But if that does become confusing, if he were to actually be in the game, then I guess I could see the colors being restricted down depending on the amount of debuffs he can give the survivor, depending on which action they do, which we'll actually explain now with the active ability. Bloody Painter's active is called rendering. By clicking one of the numbers from 1 to 5, the Bloody Painter will enter a 3-second animation where he paints that survivor's portrait. Depending on their last action before being hit, it does a different effect. If the survivor was on a generator for 10 seconds, they gain a 10% repair debuff for 15 seconds. If the survivor was healing or unspiking someone or themselves, they gain broken and will revert to being injured, if not already, for 15 seconds. After the 15 seconds, they will return to full health if previously healthy. If the survivor was in chase for at least 15 seconds, they will gain a 2% movement debuff for 30 seconds. If there is one survivor left with no sample, instead push a random sample on their survivor portrait that isn't a generator debuff. Rendering has a cooldown of 60 seconds. So in concept, the reason why it depends on their last action in a specific time frame is so the debuffs don't get confused in code. Specifically with the chase 2, I was very adamant on having a chase debuff with this guy because the other dude doesn't, aside from his counter. So, and especially with chase 2, like imagine if there was no specific time frame regulation with Otis and you were trying to render. You're always going to be chasing somebody whether you intend to or not. Like if you're in their terror radius, you're chasing them. So imagine if you want to give somebody a generator debuff and they're right in front of you and then you hit them, but their sample turns out to be a chase debuff. You know what I'm saying? So having those time frames in which you have that survivor has to be doing a specific action in order to get that designated debuff just helps make everything overall cleaner, if that makes any sense at all. And with the last survivor too, if you have a lot of people that are just dead and down to the ground and oh golly gee willikers, your last survivor doesn't have a sample on them, it would take one of the samples from the previously dead survivors that are like saved in script and push it to that survivor, as long as it isn't the generator debuff, because it's endgame. You don't have to do another generator. He also doesn't do anything to exit gates because I feel like he already has a significant amount of chase control, if that makes sense, or just overall map strength. from his rendering ability. But I will not yap. We're already at 20 minutes. I will get to his perks. I had a lot of fun drawing these two. These are actually really interesting. Helen's first perk is called Decent Tools. When you injure a survivor, give them broken for 30 seconds. If the broken survivor is then healed after their broken ends, the healer gains broken for 30 seconds. I know how important quality materials are when crafting. What are my works without them? This, I feel like, could be something that gets mixed reviews. Because at that point, it's like, that could be a whole other kit. I disagree. This was actually the perk I got the most feedback on. Because originally, I believe I had it to where when you injure a survivor, if you injure a survivor, they gain Deep Wound. Deep Wound doesn't really do a lot in this game, in VD compared to Dead by Daylight. So that was basically just a waste of a perk slot. So, Loki/Arson gave me feedback on that and came up with this idea. To where it's basically a cyclic perk that works actually really well with this kit, especially if you get an anti-heal. To where there will always be a survivor who is broken. But they have to heal the survivor within a certain time frame after that survivor's broken ends for it to trigger on the next survivor. So basically it's like an infection. I guess the best way to explain it, it's like an infection perk. Your first survivor gains broken after you hit them. As long as they don't get hooked or anything, or maybe if they do get hooked. I know I'm counteracting myself, but I'm just thinking of other possible routes, so please forgive me. I'm just being open-minded. They heal the survivor. Oh, Catboy Wonder 69, I see that you're not broken anymore. Let me go heal you up right quick. They heal them up, they gain broken, and they're like, oh, why do I have broken? Meanwhile, Josh Williker Green YT is sitting here like, oh, it's Decent Tools. He has the decent tools, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing too much, but we're gonna go on to the next one. Helen's level 30 perk is called Fresh Canvas. For every survivor spike, gain 1 token up to a max of 5. For every token, increase skill check frequency by 1%, 2%, 3%. If a survivor fails a skill check, they lose 1%, 2%, 3% extra progress. Who will be my muse, I wonder? This would go great either with Trade-Off or Abyssal Covenant. I know I'm bringing up Abyssal Covenant a lot, but if it's gonna be meta, then we're gonna ride it till it dies. I also imagine this would go fantastic with the participant's base kit, specifically with his engineer mode. This would be like, if you are a participant maid, you need this perk immediately. It needs to be in your repertoire immediately. No exceptions. But if you're also going for like a Curse Spike / Scourge type of thing build, this is another one of the perks you can add to those that I feel like would be very useful. Which, it doesn't sound like it at first, but then think about it. You gain 1 token up to a max of 5. Which means, in theory, you can increase skill check frequency for everybody up to a max of 20%. So imagine getting 20% extra skill checks for like the majority of the game. And if they fail the gen, they can lose up to 15% extra progress. That is insane. And I feel like it would just be like a whole nother level of, guys, we need to lock in solo queues. Count your days. Count your days. As a matter of fact, not even solo queues. Survive with friends? Count your days. You're on the clock now. Get to work. And last but not least, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and everything between. Bada boom pow. Don't blame me. I love this art right here. I want to eat it. It's called Artistic Prowess. It is the Bloody Painter's level 45 perk. When a survivor stuns you, make them vulnerable for 15 seconds and recover 50% faster from stuns. If the survivor then goes down in that time frame, reveal all survivors for 5 seconds. This perk then goes on cooldown for 23, 22, 20 seconds. They call my artichoke when they know it'll live throughout history. Another vulnerability perk. I mean, we have one for vaulting, we have one for stunning, we have one for healing. Yeah, we have one for healing. So all we need is one for, or we have one for gens too. Abyssal, I forgot. So it's about time we had one for stuns, don't you think? And this is supposed to be exactly that. You could say this could go well with Participant 2. I feel like it could play with his counter specifically really well. But I feel like this would shine the best with Jeff. Without a doubt. Because rather than, sometimes there's this one build I run with Jeff now that's kind of stupid. It's Terror Spread, Murderous Acrobatics, and something else. I forgot what. But rather than relying on the chance of a survivor to vault the window that you went in, which happened for me a few times, so I did get benefit out of it, but it was kind of on the rare side. Or the chance that they heal or something. More than not, they're going to try to stun you. Like, I've literally had a full lobby of parry daggers before. It was like an anomaly to me. And one of them had balanced landing! Like, I haven't seen anybody run balanced landing in this game ever. But this perk is supposed to just counter the survivors who only play parry dagger. Like, who only play stun. Like, they main parry dagger religiously. They pray to it. They feed it. They bathe it. You know what I'm saying? Which can be a very specific, like, group of survivors. But I feel like this could work very well for anybody. And it's a great all-rounder type of perk. So, yeah, that's Bloody Painter. And just like with the participant, I'll show all of the fun little icons in a larger scale. This was at a point in the day where I was just kind of hitting a flow state. I didn't mean to actually get these done today. Or not today, yesterday actually. I know I'm uploading way too much, but summer YouTube grind, summer is the best time of year for us, you know what I'm saying? We gotta log in. If you've been on Pinterest a lot, I've been using Pinterest, it's like, for like a decade. You'll know what the reference to the one on the left is. I just think it's really neat and kind of cute. And I try to change my general line art style to be a bit more rough and gritty. And that hand on the right gave me some pain. But I like how it turned out. And for the perk icons, I am really proud of these. Y'all, I have been drawing for a long time, and the amount of progress I've seen myself make since from being self-taught to being formally taught is just ridiculous. At least if you know me and you know me well. If you're just some person who's come in, I'm happy to have you, but I tend to reflect a lot. And yeah, that's it. I don't know if editing me has squashed in the little turn things already. It took, but I'll put them here again. The models, I know with VD, they tend to, I don't know if it's custom clothing or something, but they have like more 3D layered clothing for the R6 models, which I don't know how they were able to achieve that. I'm assuming it's just like different accessories on different parts of the body through attachments, since the limbs are always in one direction rather than the bend that R15 has. But with these, it's just supposed to kind of give the base idea of how they look. And I scripted a viewport through a tutorial so they can be able to spin around the way they do like they would in game. Originally, I was gonna mimic the little info screen that it has, like the little darkness in the back and then an extra layer of darkness and then the text, but that would have been too much, and I feel like you wouldn't be able to coherently read the perks. that way, so I opted for the way you see them now. And these are the models standing straight up. I had to remove the little bracelet attachment things because they were bugging out on the viewport, and I didn't feel like animating anything in Moon Animator, so I just directly edited the limbs. At nighttime, and this is how they look in daytime. So yeah, somehow this thing is 30 minutes long. I don't know how all my videos end up being close to an hour, but I hope you enjoyed. If there's anything that you feel like I could improve with this, let me know. And it should be educative criticism, please. I don't mind having something be criticized, but it has to have basis, and it has to have reason. And yeah, no, love y'all. Stay creative, and douches. Also, you should watch more of my Violence District content here. Apparently I get more views for Daybreak than I do VT, so